We've been talking a lot about the running back issue in the NFL, guys not getting paid. What are their options? What can be done? One of those guys that currently is sitting and not signing his franchise tag offer and did not get a long-term deal done has been Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley, earlier before the deadline passed and a long-term deal wasn't done, had some interesting comments. This was courtesy of the Money Matters podcast. Let's listen to the former Penn State running back.
I have no worry about going on a football field and knowing that I'm not playing for my word, or saying if I have to play under, because this is my leverage. My leverage is I can say F you to the Giants, I can say F you to my teammates and be like, you want me to show you my worth? You want to show you how valuable I am to the team? I won't show up. I won't play it down. That's a play I can use. Anybody knows me. Knows that's not something I want to do, but like it's something that crossed my mind. It's like I never thought I would ever do that, but like now I'm at a point where it's like, Jesus, like I might have to take it to this level, and like, am I willing? Am I prepared to take it to the level? I don't know.
We need a good old-fashioned holdout in the NFL. It's been a long time.
It's not a holdout if he's not signed his tender.
Well,
you did clear that up yesterday on the show.
Okay, got you.
If you were paying attention, Jonas, you did clear that up.
Yeah, I know. I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always want Jonas to be, crossing the T's, dotting the I's.
Yeah.
On top
Jonas.
That's all.
Yep.
Well,
Jonas.
Hey.
Cross the T's, buddy.
Take it away.
Jonas.
Here's the pink elephant in the room.
Oh, pink.
The one person that could probably help the situation immediately is Daniel Jones. He could say, restructure my deal. I'm going to take less. I want you to give more to Saquon. I'm going to say that right now. That's the one person who could quickly solve this. But we haven't heard from him. I don't know that he's willing to do that. He's in a contractual situation where he's essentially under team control for the next 2 years, and then we'll see. If you looked at how it's structured, I think it was 4 years, 140 whatever million, doesn't matter. It's really a 2-year deal, and then we'll see after that. And so this is a huge year for Daniel Jones. And it's not very often you see many players. You'll see guys take less because they'll say, "Hey, I'm going to create, make sure there's cap space or room for other players." Tom Brady was famous in New England for not maximizing his market value and instead taking lesser of a deal to create space for other guys. This is an instance where, at least as it currently stands, because you now no longer can sign the long-term deal if you're Saquon Barkley. But if you're Daniel Jones, you can say, I am going to take less to make sure he gets the number he's looking for. So the tag number this year is $10.1 million, if I'm not mistaken. Daniel Jones could say, all right, take $5 million away from me. I want you to give to Saquon. So at least for this 1 year's tender, that's what he's going to get. If you guys tag him in next year, I'll look at restructuring my deal just to be able to make space, just to be able to take the monies that are supposed to go to me to him. Now, most people are sitting there listening thinking, you are out of your damn mind. Because if I'm getting a contract like that, I am not giving away any money. But if you're Daniel Jones, there has to be a thought in your head that if Saquon's not here, did my job just get harder?
There you go.
Yes, it did.
Talk to him.
And that's where, he may want to sit there and talk to his agents, talk to the team. But you don't hear about that stuff going on right now. Business is business. And the reality for running backs is the team that just won the Super Bowl, the Kansas City Chiefs, their leading rusher last year, Isaiah Pacheco, young man out of Rutgers, really talented guy. I was kind of surprised he went as late as he did. But when he ends up being the starting running back and he's a rookie and he can have the impact like he did, and he wasn't the, number 2 overall pick, you then go back and you look and you say, well, they could just draft someone every year to be able to have them have a similar impact. And the value's placed more on the quarterback than it is the running back. So the fastest way of solving some of these issues, at least for running backs that are on current rosters, and by the way, it's hard for the Chargers with Austin Eckler, who's been very vocal about this, because Justin Herbert hasn't signed his second deal. So he's not in the position that Daniel Jones is in. And you look at some of the other running backs, whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo, who's out in Las Vegas. He's made his money, but at this point in time, he's not making it. It's not a huge contract. He's in a prove-it situation. And so is he going to give up a bunch of money to give it to Josh Jacobs?
You know what's interesting about that point is it still doesn't rectify the value of the running back as it applies to the organization.
Right.
Like, it's still
Yep.
Here we go. This is still a systematic problem.
Yeah.
This is systemic. And that's the
What are
thing.
you implying there? What was with that voice?
Did you like what I did right there? Did you like what I did right there?
What are you saying, Johnson?
What are you saying? You run footballs, don't you? Yeah, it's that is the situation that is really the biggest aspect of this is sure Daniel Jones does help himself out by having Saquon on the field. Like that shows they win more when Saquon has good games. Like that's just when he's playing, when he has good games, they win more. That could ultimately make the value of Daniel Jones, more. But in this instance, it doesn't. I don't feel like it makes the value more for Saquon Barkley, and as it applies to any other running back in the league, and it's really based upon, in my estimation, is the players have to do what they feel is best for them, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes you got to know when to hold them, you got to know when to fold them, and you got to know when to run away. And in this scenario, I continue to ask myself the question: where does this all go? You wait, you sit out, you don't play, whatever it may be, but you were on the open market. And people have to understand that. He was not made an exclusive franchise tag. He was made someone could match that. And someone could say, we see the value and we see the worth in what Saquon Barkley brings to the table as a back, and we want him. But no one did that. No one did that. And so the market has spoken, and the market continues to speak. We just talked about where the franchise tag is for running backs and how it went down $4 million. It went down from when Dalvin Cook could have took, or Le'Veon Bell could have took the franchise tag and didn't want it. And it was at like 14, 15 million.
Yeah, 14.
The value is slipping away, and it's because of the evolution of the game. So in the end, what really needs to happen is you got to evaluate and accept that that's the value of the position. And then now and it's sad and it sucks for, I guess, guys that are in the league now, but you have to adapt and you have to adjust as well to a shifting and changing market. I was thinking to myself, I was like, maybe this is almost like, and maybe I could be wrong, but in my mind, I felt like I was right. It's almost like you have a home, and on the home market, you put your home on the market for sale, and it appraised for. I had a home that appraised for $16 million. All right, I put it on the market.
Whoa! Wait, was that the one with the pond thing inside?
Yes. Yeah, it was.
Man, did they factor that in? Were they like? And of note, a koi pond.
You're being a jagaloon right now. That was a real a-hole type of comment
what?
there.
I
think they did. Yes, wow. They did. Actually.
See, I told you. That's the kind of stuff that. I mean, if I was walking to appraise a house, I would have to put that in there.
Which, by the way, it had a double waterfall, but I had to turn my waterfall off because apparently I did not know that the waterfall from as high as it was stressing my fish out, so I turned it off.
How do you even know how it stresses the fish out?
Well, my guy told me. I had a koi expert that ended up coming in and working for me, and he said, you should probably turn those waterfalls off because it's stressing your fish out.
Yeah, but it's relaxation for you. That's a great sound for humans.
But if it wasn't relaxing for my fish, then because when you go, I don't know if you know about Coy's all like that, but if you go up to them, like you go like near them, they come to you.
Yeah.
Like they're like all in on like being buddies with
just
you.
Waiting to be fed. That was it. Like they think they're gonna get food.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of what it is, they don't run away from you.
You're telling me there's no fish down by waterfalls because it stresses them out?
Listen, that's what they told me, man. That's what he told me, and so I turned my waterfalls off.
Crap.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to stress you out.
They ended up dying anyway.
Yeah,
they ended up dying anyway.
Maybe
man.
that guy could have stepped up, helped you out, and offered a couple of snorkels.
Yeah, seriously.
He would have had to put oxygen in the water for them to be able to live.
Or at least
where the hell was he during that time?
He wouldn't even been able to get there because of all of the weather and how bad it was. And
man, you should have let him stay there.
Yeah, that's a giant excuse.
I mean, he could have stayed there, and I wouldn't even known he was there. You know, but
I blame him. I don't blame you.
Agreed.
You know?
I still have nightmares over my fish, man. Like I still like every once in a while I have I'll wake up.
We're gonna toast to them the next time because I feel like I'm not trying to joke about it. I'm trying to be more serious.
All right.
And I feel like you think I'm joking about it, but I'm more curious than anything else about it.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you caring about my fallen loved ones.
No, I'm more care about you about it. I don't really care about the fish. I'll be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know the fish, so it's hard for me to care about.
You
them.
would have enjoyed them, man. They would have had a lasting impact on you.
Well, had that guy offered you a couple of snorkels to go along with it, maybe we'd have a conversation about the fish right now. But he skipped that step, and here we are. Next thing you know, they end up in between a couple of tortillas and somebody's.
Yeah, they're next to Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah.
The point is, the house didn't sell for $16 million, even though it was valued at $16 million, right? So you're looking at it, and it's like it was a true appraisal, and it was done well, and that was the value of the property and of the home. But there was no one in the market that was going to pay that amount for that home, and so it was like passively on the market, but it wasn't going to move. It wasn't even going to move for a fraction of that number. So while I can sit there and say the market is wrong for somebody coming in and offering X amount, you're wrong because it's worth this. But if you're not willing to look at what's really going to be paid for what it is, then you don't have a legitimate opportunity of getting a deal done. So I had to look at my home, and I had to look at the value of my home and say, okay, while I know the value is at $16 million, I know it's at that number. I know that's what it is. I put work into this home. I've upgraded it. It looks amazing. The property is manicured, da-da-da. But the bottom line is that home is only worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. And if you're not willing to accept that and move within those parameters, then you're ultimately running the risk of not being able to move that property at all. And in this instance, it actually happens to be your talents, the position that you hold, the position. While you may look at historically, or you may look at a comp and one of the running backs that has made X amount of dollars, doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get that value on the open market. And so to me, I feel like while you want to see guys stand up for what they believe in, and they're coming together and the solidarity of what's taking place, and running backs are being wronged and running backs are being devalued, but it still happens to be the evolution of what the value of that position represents. And I almost feel like today, like in days past, in years past, I've been like, yeah, stand up, stick to your guns, be that type of guy. But I almost feel like today you sign your franchise tender and you get into camp and you play ball and you play like you've never played before and you put your best foot forward, and it's because you had the ability and the opportunity to still continue your American dream, which is making millions of dollars playing a child's sport.
But I feel like the long-term value of running backs, that conversation is a waste of time for Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs at this point, because there's nothing they can do because
that's what sucks about it, right? Is that they're living in it. But for future guys, I'm going to learn a different position. Like, I'm not playing running back if I got a chance to make it.
Like, that's why I wonder if Daniel Jones doesn't do what Brady pointed out, which is, listen, give back a little bit of money, see if we can make this work for this 1 year for Saquon Barkley. If that's the case, does it create a little bit of a divide in the locker room? Like, is there a divide of they chose you over that guy? That guy's been, putting in the work and playing at a high level for years. You had one good year.
Yeah, I think it could create a little bit of a divide because especially the way the whole thing went down. Like, people have to realize in the 11th hour, instead of it, and Jonas, you pointed this out either earlier this week or maybe last week when we were on the show, but you had pointed this out that if they had just picked up the 5th-year option,
you're an idiot,
on Daniel Jones, they would not be in this situation. Yeah. They would have had the salary cap space.
I mean, you in the mood this week, huh? You in the mood right now. Good. Y'all weren't even on that show. I was like
talking about.
And we're trying to save your fish.
Yeah, I was doing like my fish. I was drowning. Golly. I was out that bitch drowning.
It's fishy around here, man.
Oh, come on.
But you get my point. Like, it kind of starts with the Giants not picking up the 5th-year option, which would have been the cheaper option to maintain control of Daniel Jones. And I think what's surprising about it, probably for a lot of people, is, look, he had an improved year. Statistically speaking, though, it wasn't like what you see from a lot of other quarterbacks right now, if we were ranking them, that you would put up there and say, that's up there with the Patrick Mahomes, the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens, the Joe Burrows, the Aaron Rodgers, whoever else you want to put in that category of the top-tier quarterbacks. It wasn't that sort of year. Yet he still got the payday. And, the Giants still paid him for it. And so that decision not to pick up the 5th-year option ended up snowballing into them then deciding in the 11th hour that they're going to pay a long-term deal to Daniel Jones as opposed to Saquon Barkley and be able to use the tag on Barkley. I mean, that's how we got here. And so, of course, they're because of the way it went and because of the expectations that at that point they thought Jones was going to get the tag and Barkley was going to hit free agency. There was an expectation. And once there was an expectation that didn't happen, now it's almost like the Giants have potentially created this in their own locker room from their decision not to pick up the 5th-year option and then their decision to handle the negotiations the way they did. Now, granted, it's worked out to at least keep their quarterback and potentially keep their running back. But I think Daniel Jones is going to have to be the one to be able – if you want to alleviate any issue in the locker room, be the guy to step up, be the guy to try to say, hey, I need to get something back so that he gets compensated more for this year.